Hi there. Welcome to another edition of TokStocks. I'm your host, Keir Reynolds, and today we're lucky enough to have Oscar Louzada, CEO of Sranan Gold, with the ticker SRAN. Hey, Oscar, how you doing today?
Yeah, very good, Keir. How are you?
Hey, great, thanks. I got to tell you, I'm a little jealous of where you're sitting there. It looks like a beautiful background. Where are you?
I'm currently in Andorra. Um, we got a little place here. Oh, I live in Andorra actually, so gonna spend a lot
Nice.
of time here. It's a bit warm. It's well over 30 degrees, so but I'll manage. I'll manage.
Well, thanks for fitting us in. I'm really excited. I've been like wanting to get a hold of somebody with the company. It was nice to get connected with you, and nice that you wanted to sort of speak with me.
Of course.
Um, I'm always, obviously, you're in the right jurisdiction here. You're a Suriname-based gold explorer. Just for a little bit of context, the last year or so, we've been quite heavily, involved in Founders Metals.
Yeah.
It's one of our core sort of portfolio sort of gold companies. We've done quite a bit of content on them, and I've been a big fan. So I heard sort of late last year from actually a good broker out of Vancouver mentioned a little bit about you guys once
Right.
the
Okay.
deal, once your deal had been announced, and then I've chatted with John a few times, and John Williamson of the Metals Group, who obviously helped put Founders together, and he's a bit involved in this. So we hope this is the next great sort of gold story.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. He's very much involved for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
excellent. So we'll have kind of a first look video here. Just gonna kind of run through some stuff if you wouldn't mind. Maybe for those of my viewers that don't know who you are, can you walk us through a bit about your background, how you got involved in like mining?
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. I was born in the Netherlands, so I'm a Dutch speaker. Spent 15 years there, then went to Madrid for a couple of years, back to Holland to do university, and then moved to England in 26 years ago or so. Did a lot of broking for small English merchant banks, and at some point I joined the Canaccord office in London, and that's was my introduction to Canadian mining and oil and gas, and I think we ran quite a decent franchise in London for Canaccord, and at some point, one of our corporate clients who had an operation in Uzbekistan was looking for a capital markets guy. And that was in 2012 or so, 2011, 12. He asked me to join their phosphate operation in Uzbekistan. So I spent a couple of years in Uzbekistan, in Tashkent, which was absolutely brilliant. And the guy that was financing that Uzbek phosphate project was a Dutch mining engineer who was at BMO at that time. And he was looking to leave BMO. And he said, well, what are you up to in Uzbekistan? How's this going for you? It seems to be difficult. And Uzbekistan, 12 years ago, was very complex. So the company's still going. It never came to the market, and good luck to it. But him and I decided to set up a little shop to look for a gold project in, we were looking globally. We were looking in South America. We were looking Kazakhstan, then Russia still, obviously, all the other CIS countries. And then he came up with the idea to speak to his old geology professor at the University of Delft. And that guy is a Surinamese national. He was one of the leading Surinamese geologists. So we spoke with him, and he said, well, come to Suriname. Why not? We've got vast amount of gold. We've got barely any junior exploration. We've got Newmont wasn't even in the country then. We've got IAMGOLD that's been there for 10 years already when we started. And this was in 2013, 14. So we flew over to Suriname, met a couple of well-to-do individuals with gold concessions, and signed up the Nassau project, which is now operated by another listed company in Canada. Financed it privately, raised about $2.5 million through friends and family and some other ex-Canaccord clients who knew geology more than the country, because no one knew where the country was. And that's how it all kicked off, Suriname. It's difficult to find a project that has enough work done on it, though, to make it a saleable story. There's so little done in that country. But yeah,
Right.
that's it, from Canaccord to corporate.
Well, thanks for giving us an overview on that. Sounds exciting. John Williamson obviously is somebody that is a bit of a rock star in sort of my world, the guy that we pay attention to with the metals group. He was obviously, part of the, he was the founder of Founders Metals. How did you get sort of connected with him?
Yeah, it's after we did our first transaction and handed it over to a Canadian group to run with it. It took a bit of time to find this project we got now. This was owned by Iron Gold. They dropped this in 2012 and then completely disappeared. That project disappeared, and it was picked up by the guy that we've done a deal with now. So this is one of the largest gold traders in country, and he's been mining the alluvial stuff with his mates and raking it in. And when Dennis and I talked about this project, we thought, how can we get this to the market? Because this is advanced enough to take it to the market immediately. So we did a lot of digging, finding out who the guys were behind Founders. And the only ones that we could find is the existing management team. But then through some contacts in Toronto and Vancouver, we got to the Metals Group. So we got John's email address, sent him an email with a PowerPoint, didn't hear anything back. And then, 3 or 4 weeks later or so, we got a call basically saying, this is John, Metals Group, Edmonton. I think you should come over and see us. So we flew over, met with the whole group in Edmonton, which was getting pretty cold then, but okay.
Yeah.
Spent a couple of hours in the office talking about the team, actually, more the team than the geology. Who are you guys? Why would we look at you guys? Why would we, not buy this off you and do it ourselves? And that's when we started talking about, everyone in our little team has been in Suriname for way longer than us all these other juniors. We're all Dutch speakers. Many of the geologists, including Dennis, who's been there for 26 years, they're all local guys. They all know the saprolite. They all know the weathering profile. They all, did their degrees at the University of Paramaribo. So I think it's the team and obviously the concession that got Metals Group excited. And that's how it was kicked off in November last year.
Excellent. So we're, I guess, 7 or 8 months sort of removed from that. And you guys have done a couple rounds of financing. We'll sort of unpack that in a minute. But you've got this sort of fairly large sort of concession package. Would you mind sort of, walking us through that? I'm not sure how to pronounce it. You'll do a much better job of it than me. But would you mind walking us through sort of your flagship sort of asset and what it's all about? Yeah,
so the Tapanahony Project in Sipalivini, that's the region, is 20. It's close to 30,000 hectares, and it has seen a lot of mining. There are currently 3 targets, which is the Buketi pit, which was drilled by Iron Gold, or at least they did a bit of testing there, 4,000 meters. At Randy, and then on the other side of the river is Buketi. And Buketi is currently still mined by the locals. We were allowed to go into their pits a couple of weeks ago. Took some very decent samples. So Randy, New Pit, and Buketi, those are the 3 targets that are in need of some holes. We're going to start with Randy. That's seen, as I said, 4,000 meters of drilling with some pretty decent grade. Very good first pass. We're going to follow up on what Iron Gold did. And in the meantime, the other guys will go to the other side of the river and start preparing Buketi or New Pit and Buketi, which is currently about 1 kilometer long, that trend.
Great.
Trenching.
Sure. And how many, you say you're going to drill some holes. How many meters of drilling do you think you're sort of going to do?
When we raised our initial money in December, we were looking to just do some infill drilling. The spacing on the Iron Gold thing is 200 meters apart or so, which is a bit
Wow.
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we're looking with the money we had, we were looking to get that that spacing to about 25 meters or maybe 50. But then when we received our LiDAR back in March, that completely changed this story with all these parallel zones that we found above and beneath Randy. So after talking, discussing with the team, we thought, well, with the 3 million we're looking to raise and the 1.5 we still had in the bank then, if we're going to do 4,000 meters just in infill drilling, we're going to run out of meters and money soon. These parallel zones, that can easily take 10,000 meters. So we decided to start drilling 10,000 meters. And that's when we tried to raise a bit of money, a little top up to make sure that we could finish the 10,000 meters. And that little top up has grown out to be, well over 8.5 million.
Yeah, you guys announced you're looking for 3, and then you've
I know.
upsized it, and you got over 8, and then there's still a few people. I was just at a golf tournament on Monday, and there was a few people that were quite disappointed they got cut back. And
I know.
So
I know the book was at 9 million at some point, and we were, so we had to cut it back. Yes. Yeah.
Well, that's great. So then that should give you enough money to go do your 10,000 plus meters of drilling.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And how do you know exactly where you're going to sort of put those? Are you going to put those into this Randy, or are you going to look to sort of spread it amongst sort of the 3 targets that you kind of talked about?
We've got, so currently there's a close to 6,000 mapped on Randy, or up to 6,000 mapped in Randy. And the other remaining meters will be done on the other side of the river at New Pit and Bugatti. But that's, as I said, by the time the driller is done at Randy, the guys will have had enough time to prepare New Pit and Bugatti.
Assuming your financing closed, you got your money. What's the sort of cap structure kind of look like now, sort of post financing?
A bit over 60 million shares. We got 92 entries in the book, 92 entries, which is absolutely amazing. We've picked up 5 institutions, 1 in Hong Kong, 2 in Switzerland, and 2 of the main funds in Toronto have both subscribed for quite a considerable amount of money. So
Great.
A split between, I think a bit of less than half the book went to the 2 institutions in Canada. Sorry, 3 institutions in Canada. Yeah. And the remainder is all Hong Kong, Switzerland, Germany, and lots of retail following.
Excellent. And so, looking at where your shares are trading today, sort of high 50s. So I guess you're, 35 million sort of market cap sort of deal.
Yeah.
I think if I'm not mistaken, Founders, which is, pre-resource, they don't have an MRE or anything. They've just been drilling. Yep. I think we reached almost $1 billion market cap sort of at their height, if I'm not mistaken. So there could be some pretty good upside here for people looking at this story if you're able to get some luck with the drill stick.
Yeah, I agree. Plus, so we got the final LiDAR stuff back only 2-3 weeks ago. You'll see this on our website. So we got 5 new areas that we found as well. So we got Enard, which is on the north east of the concession. We went there once, twice, saw lots of artisanal stuff, but LiDAR has now confirmed that this, is definitely worth following up on. So this thing is growing quite a bit also in terms of target areas. And so there's lots of work to do or to be done on site in the next 6 to 12 months. And hopefully...
Sure. Now, in terms of like Suriname, it's not really a location, not really like a jurisdiction that's sort of top of mind for many sort of like retail investors.
No.
It's kind of newer. What's it like to sort of operate there? Is there sort of good access and infrastructure? Um, could you just give us a bit of an overview on sort of Suriname and
Yeah,
kind of what's going on in terms of mining exploration?
yeah. So Suriname, obviously, with the history with the Netherlands, it's actually quite a nice little country. It's 100% Dutch speaking, which is helpful. It's based on Dutch law. When they gained independence in '75, they copied everything from the Netherlands. So that makes it quite easy to walk around and communicate. Infrastructure, of course, the coastal cities and villages have okay-ish infrastructure. In the bush, it's a bit different. I think 96% of this country is Amazon. Luckily, the river system is well utilized. So we've got a river running in between two of our targets, which makes everything quite easy
So
to
you're
get
able
to.
to so you're able to barge stuff in then?
Yeah. So we shipped over the drills over the weekend, and it took 8 hours from Albina, which is on the coast, 3 hours from Paramaribo, to site. 8 hours.
That's great.
Yeah.
Not
The
bad.
excavator. Yeah, I know. So the excavator took a bit longer. 'Cause that thing is 46 tons or so. So that took about 2.5 days to get there. But no, the river system is brilliant. But so in terms of access to site, yeah, we're fine on that.
And you said drills, so you're going to be using more than one drill. And what type of drilling are you going to be doing? Is it RC or core?
No, it's core. It's core. We got two hydrocores that were shipped over from Canada. They arrived a couple of weeks ago. It took a bit longer to get them through customs, but they're now on site. So we got two. One is in Paramaribo, and the other one is on site.
And so the idea is to sort of get both of them kind of drilling and sort of do 80 to 100 meters a day. What are you thinking in terms of how aggressive and how many holes do you think the program? Again, I'm sure your program's going to sort of change based upon visuals and what's going on. But do you have you said you got about 6,000 meters kind of figured out kind of roughly.
Yeah.
When do you think we'd actually start to see assays? Is there a big long turnaround time for assays?
No. So luckily, Suriname has quite a very good lab actually. Turnaround times between 6 and maybe 14 days if they're busy. Everyone uses those guys in country. One of the reasons Founders attracted so many people is obviously because they manage to turn out news releases every 2-3 weeks. And that obviously helps. So, assay lab is good. Flights to and from the village are 3-4 times a week. There's a huge infrastructure in terms of local airstrips that the villages use.
And you mentioned IAMGOLD originally had the project. It sounds like they were doing combination drilling, trying to drill it to figure out that there wasn't anything there and drop it. But what's IAMGOLD sort of doing in the region now? I guess they've got one mine, if I'm not mistaken, that's in production.
They used to. So they sold Rosebel to Zijin in
okay, great.
I think it was last year. Yeah, 450 million I think they got, because they needed to fund one of their projects in, I think it's Quebec, and didn't want to go to the capital markets at 8.5% interest rates or whatever it was. So they sold it to Zijin, and they dropped this project well before that. They dropped it because of the Saramacca deposit that was a satellite deposit for IAMGOLD's Rosebel mine that needed to be put into production. Market was in a terrible state in 2012.
Yeah.
So they just cut it. They went down from 15 geologists to 5 in that year.
And maybe you can speak to, outside of yourself, can you explain a little bit about your team? Anybody notable from a technical perspective? Anybody that you'd like to highlight?
Well, Dennis Lapointe, American geologist. He was sent over to Suriname 26 years ago by Alcoa. He was part of the team that discovered the Merian deposit, which is now owned by Newmont. Um, the Raiz Bulam is a local geologist with 10 years of experience, more than 10 years at I'm Gold, Oh My Gold Mines. Has worked with Dennis for quite some years. We just hired another geologist who is from the village of Phuket. He left his job at Newmont to come and join us. So it's all local geologists, all guys that know saprolite, know the weathering profile, and will certainly give us a good stab.
Sure. And in terms of, is this sort of like what you kind of see like in like West Africa type sort of situation in terms of geological? You got your saprolite, and then you're looking to find the contact zone or the hard rock.
Yeah. So on the Randy pit, the saprolite goes quite deep. Actually, it's probably up to 60 meters at some point, so which is good, and then you get into the rock. On the other side, Phuket, the zone is probably 20 to 30 meters or so, but that needs more work. So that's easy drilling, and that's also why the driller said, "Look, I can get you 80 to 100 meters a day, especially on the Randy side."
Right. And you're going to be drilling into fresh rock as well.
Yes, yeah. The holes will be over a bit over 100 meters, like 125, 150.
Sure. So, anyways, just from my perspective, founders, a lot of people sort of missed out. They wish they were in sort of earlier. Big success story. We'll have to see what happens here sort of moving forward, but they were able to attract some pretty exceptional sort of investors and get on the radar screen and sort of probably get a little ahead of their sort of market cap by a good degree. But that was helped along, like you indicated, with a lot of sort of drill results, and they had some pretty impressive stuff. They're pretty wide interval, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 meter type interval stuff of pretty juicy grade, 4, 5, 6, 7 gram per ton, even higher in some cases. That probably sets pretty high expectations for you guys. What do you think about that in terms of looking at, should people compare, or should this be considered something different? What does success look like for you?
Yeah, no, they could very well compare. I mean, I think one of the reasons why Metals Group said, we're going to do this is, we're sharing the same fabric as founders, and there's some various other projects like Oko West, for example. It's a similar structure, and we got this two-folded system. The contact zone between the granite and the volcanics is running through the project, runs through the project. All the artisanal mining is happening in that contact zone. And those are the zones that can get you those, 50 meters or 70 meters at X grams. Yeah, absolutely. And you can see it in the initial holes that I'm Gold did. It's a pretty decent start.
So you've got a couple of drills in country. You got one on site. You're going to start drilling pretty soon. When do you think we'd see the first sort of assays like get out to the market, be released?
Over the summer, towards the end of the summer. So we do need to build a little bridge across the river, which we're working on now. We had a logistics call this morning of all the stuff that needs to be done. But yeah, so we're going to start this thing up soonest. And Kelly and his team are on site to put everything together and put the drill on the spot.
Are you going to be going down? Do you get to go to project much? Are you in country? Is that something that you do, or are you hanging out talking to investors?
No, I do both. I enjoy talking to the market, and Toronto is good, but Europe, we've got lots of European investors, which is good. We got accepted on TradeGate as well, actually, and we actually have volume in Germany. Yeah,
excellent. That'll bode well.
So, there's lots of traveling around Europe and Canada. I just got back from Suriname 2 weeks ago.
Great.
To have a get together with the drill crew. I'll be going back in mid-July. going to site. Yeah.
Excellent. And so it sounds like you're a pretty target-rich environment here. You've mentioned several different targets. I guess you've got sort of 3 that are sort of along a good strike length, starting with Randy's Pit. Randy's Pit, I guess, is where the historic drilling, so the most work has been done there. So now you can go plunk some more holes. And then it sounds like you probably have 5, 6, 7 other sort of like targets that you have to kind of work up, including the new stuff that you identified through the LiDAR. So there's going to be drilling as well as some other further ground prospecting to sort of work up some additional future targets to drill.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of work to be done. Obviously, to get things going, of course, it's the drilling on Randy and then Puketi. But all that stuff that LiDAR uncovered, as I said earlier, these guys are going to be busy for quite some time to generate new targets and get some other areas going. Yeah.
Excellent. So are you fully funded now for sort of the balance of the year, or that is a question mark?
No, that's fully funded. We can continue drilling if all goes well and the meters or the grade stacks up and the width, then we'll just try and do what Founders has done, just continue drilling.
Excellent. And in terms of you like getting the word out on this company, do you have some conferences that you are planning to attend, anywhere that you might be going that you want to mention in case any one of the viewers here might be attending?
Yeah, over the summer it's going to be quiet, of course, but in the fall we've got the CEM conference in Muskoka.
Great.
We got attending the Swiss Mining Institute in November, the München Gold Show, that's starting up again, so we've got a spot there. 1-to-1 in London, and then what else? And I'll just be walking around Toronto and Vancouver towards September, saying hi to some existing guys and some other guys that want to walk me around. So there'll be lots of exposure. We got to put a proper budget in place, obviously, to make sure that we get seen by many. But we'll do it wisely. We're not going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on all sorts of marketing campaigns. That's
Well, I was hoping to get out early. I saw a little bit of content, but there wasn't a whole lot. So I thought maybe I'm still a bit early on. Maybe I'm a bit early on the story here, which is good. Hopefully, we can help get the word out. Again, just for disclosure, I'm a shareholder. Purchased some shares in the open market. Plan on purchasing more. That's
very kind of you.
This is an unpaid piece of content. We don't have sponsorship or take any money or anything for talking up stories. My bias is simply that we're shareholders and hope to get the word out on our investments. So,
good.
Oscar, it's been really nice to sort of connect with you. I just got one final question, then we'll kind of wrap it up for now.
Yeah.
What's one key message that you want investors to sort of take away about Sranan Gold?
There's lots to be done on that 29,000 hectares we have, and if we can indeed do what, for example, the Founders has done, sharing that same bit of geology, then we should be all right.
Probably more than all right.
Exactly.
On sort of the market cap, but nice to sort of be a bit conservative there. Oscar, it was very nice to connect with you. This has been a first look, so we hope to get more content out. Certainly, I'm going to be bugging you and checking in to see how sort of things are going, and perhaps towards the end of the summer, when you get your first results out, we could do sort of another kind of update videos for you to explain what's going on with some of the results.
Yeah, perfect. Good.
Excellent. Well, I'll let you get back on with your day. Thanks for fitting me in. I know you're quite a few hours ahead, and we'll let you enjoy the rest of the sunshine. Thanks so much for your time, and it was nice to get a good overview on the company.
Good. And you. See you later. Bye-bye.